Hoping everyone is really fine and doing okay. We are here today to basically look at locomotion. So we want to see the first part of locomotion. And what is locomotion? Locomotion is basically the movement of the whole organism from one place to another. We also have what we call movement, which is just displacement of a body part of an organism. The two are different in a way that locomotion involves the whole organism moving from one place to another, while movement is simply displacement of a body part of an organism. Let us look at the forms of locomotion. In other words, how do the different organisms locomote? We can see a bird. The bird is flying using the wings. Therefore, the first form of locomotion is flying. Which feature are they using to fly? The wings. We can see another form of locomotion which we are calling walking. We can see someone is walking using the legs. The other form is swimming. This is common in organisms that are found living in water, like the fish. What does it use to swim? It uses the fins. Then we have another form called crawling. Some organisms locomote by crawling. Crawling, a variety of organisms do move by this. The common ones, we talk of the snakes, even the snails locomote by crawling. In summary, the forms of locomotion include crawling, walking, flying, swimming, and even hopping, like grasshoppers can move by hopping. All right. What do these organisms use to locomote? These are the structures used for locomotion. Just like we can see, or like we have seen in the bird, they can locomote using the wings. They can locomote using fins. Those are the fish. Humans and other animals can locomote using the legs. We have cilia in organisms like paramecium. Remember paramecium. We have flagella in organisms like euglena and some bacteria. Then we have the pseudopodia in amoeba. They do locomote using that. What is the importance of locomotion? Why do organisms move from one place to another? Why do they keep moving from one place to another? To search for food, because they need to feed. They need to eat. Without eating, they will not survive. Therefore, they locomote in search for food. To search for mates, so that reproduction can continue taking place. Remember, feeding or nutrition, reproduction, these are some of the characteristics of all living things. They need to escape from predators. Otherwise, if they don't escape from predators, they will definitely get eaten, and that would be the end of those organisms. So they may run away from predators so as not to get killed. They also locomote to avoid danger and catastrophes, like fires, any other danger that may threaten them in their habitat. So they then walk or run or fly or swim away from these dangers. They also locomote to avoid competition with other animals. We may have organisms in an area when there are many, but the resources available are limited. Therefore, if resources are limited and the organisms are many, they will compete with each other. When they compete, some will outcompete the others. Therefore, the others won't get that resource. So to avoid that competition, they must move away to areas where they can access that resource with minimum or with no competition. Then to colonize new areas. When you look at where you're living, you realize in the neighborhood there are very many people around. But very many years ago, probably they were not there. But they moved, they locomoted from wherever they were, and they came to that area. Therefore, they colonized the new areas. This applies to all organisms. They locomote to colonize new areas. What are the requirements for locomotion? In other words, what do organisms need in order to locomote? One, there must be energy. You realize that when you're very sick, you don't have energy. You can't move from one place to another. Therefore, you must have energy in order to locomote. Two, there must be a skeleton. We are later going to see what a skeleton is. We are going to look at a skeleton in detail, but briefly, a skeleton, we say it is a framework of bones. So we need a skeleton. Organisms need a skeleton to locomote. They also need muscles for movement and locomotion. And there must be a medium for locomotion. A medium, we saw the bird flying, the medium is air. We saw a human walking on land. We saw the fish swimming in water. So those must be available in order for locomotion to take place. Now when we look at the skeleton in detail, we are going to see that there are three different types of skeletons. The endoskeleton, the exoskeleton, and the hydrostatic skeleton. Let's start by looking at the hydrostatic skeleton. The word hydro means water, and it is a skeleton which contains a cavity filled with a fluid within. Therefore, it's a type of skeleton made up of a fluid-filled cavity together with a set of muscles. But there are two sets of muscles, like in the earthworm. It has what we call the circular muscles and the longitudinal muscles, just like we can see from our visual there. These two sets of muscles are antagonistic. What do we mean? That when one set contracts, the other set relaxes. Therefore, locomotion being brought about by a hydrostatic skeleton is caused by compression of that fluid within that cavity under a high pressure by the muscles, which muscles we are saying are antagonistic. One contracts and another one relaxes. So in the earthworm we have the longitudinal and the circular muscles together with a cavity which is fluid filled, forming the skeleton that we are calling a hydrostatic skeleton, bringing about locomotion in organisms like the earthworms. We shall stop there for today. In our next lesson, we shall look at the other two types of skeletons, and then we shall as well compare them. I thank you very much for attending today's lesson. But remember that COVID is real. Please keep yourselves safe at home, together with the other people at home, so that, because we really need all of you alive.